Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday, Oracle. And so we're just going to wait for everyone to kind of jump in, to join in. So we have some light beats. And as for now, I'm still hooked up on the song, the Frozen Sick mix. Frozen on Fire. There we go. All right. So today's oracle is for this moon coming up this weekend in Libra. So we have this beautiful one. We're also celebrating not only that, but we're celebrating the fall equinox. We're celebrating, which is September, at least. Hey, Tom. Good evening. I would say I like to celebrate. I always think about this fall equinox for September 21st. So that's tomorrow. And so we have the fall equinox. We have the new moon in Libra, which is this weekend, this Sunday. And then you have the Libra season already starting. And so, just doing a tune-up. Definitely gonna need a new matchbox soon. How are you guys feeling? How's your week been? I believe we're on Tuesday so far. I'm just setting up the space, clearing it up. And then also tonight, I'm also using Palo Santo, which I did last week. And so just taking a moment to take a deep breath in. Wherever you are, just allowing yourself to open up the mouth and exhale, breathe out. And say, even if your eyes are open, allow your gaze to soften and kind of see where it is that you can kind of focus, whether it's right here in the video with this little flame here that we have going, or it's maybe something right in front of you, 4 feet, right? Allow your gaze, maybe allowing yourself to tune into your senses. What is it that you're smelling? What is it that you're seeing? What is it that you're feeling? And as you exhale, just breathe out. Allow those senses to draw in exactly to you, where you are in this present moment in space and time. And just welcoming up space for everybody who's tuning in. My name is Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining this evening, whether you're here on the restream or you're here on IG Live. So I might switch between 2 different screens here. And so this chat, this live is, I always like to do Tuesday oracles. So we'll talk about the energy coming up this week. What is it that's coming up, at least for the collective, and then maybe thinking about what's coming up for you personally. And also considering the air signs that we're going to come through during the next month, which has a very playful, like Venus love vibe for me, is what I'm getting right now. And even before we begin, especially if you're new, my name is Stephanie. As shamanic high priestess, I work with those, especially with, I would say, souls, star seeds, who are here with a purpose and vision, which everyone has a purpose, and an innate desire to express their highest truth. So there's this essence of helping others express themselves in their authenticity, especially in a world where you feel like you have to conform, or maybe it's still a little bit scary to come out of the closet, right? As I point down behind me through those doors. And then also this essence of like embodiment, like, can I truly live that walk, talk the talk, walk the walk of what is it that I'm feeling in my highest truth, right? And that's the totality of who you are in terms of the spiritual, especially if you're someone who connects to your higher self in the star seed form or however you see that, multiple lives times. And also, um, then there's the empowerment part, that's like the going out and like and doing the work and helping others and working in a collective form. So, at least beginning with this thread that, Libra season is the season, it's an air sign. And not only do we have this fall equinox, but we have this essence of like, coming into like today, tomorrow, next coming days with the fall equinox, a cycle is ending. Um, and yet, this new moon with the weekend, it's also about planting new seeds, right? And especially with when we talk about the cycle ending, something that I got today, thinking about Virgo season and all the planning and all the planting of the seeds that you've been doing the past month, right? If you've been doing that work, and whether you maybe recognize it and as being big changes or big planting, even the smallest little changes that you've been committing to are definitely going to feel like they're suddenly sprouting up. And that's at least the sense that I'm getting and have been getting the past couple days as I tune in. And one of the major things, which I actually kind of want to start off with an illustration, because Libra is a sign of like relationships, socialization, socializing. It's the partnerships. It's about bringing, balance, social settings, and harmonizing and cooperation that is needed. So even in this next couple of weeks after, like, the new moon this weekend, and even if you're feeling it right now prior, like, what is it that you're going to need to harmonize in cooperation with your external world? And that means like friends, families, social settings. Um, and what is it that you're feeling that maybe you need to bring a little bit more harmony to when it comes to these relationships? And the relationships aren't just like romantic, but like, again, social setting, right? Or even a work environment. Um, and it's about partnership as well. And there's this like essence of like the beauty, art. Like, how can you bring more beauty into your life, right? In the next coming weeks. And hey, Chrissy. And so, starting that off, there was this beautiful like quote that it made me think about when it comes to like relationships and partnerships that came through today right before I jumped on. And I thought it just resonated really well. Um, and it actually goes to, comes to like detail a little explanation about like what the 11th house is in astrology. And the 11th house is like about friends, um and like, social circles. And one of the things they were saying that in terms of like relationships, ooh, know that you can't build Rome not just in a day, but you can't build it on your own. Like, there's so much power when it comes to being in a collective. And I actually showed this to Chrissy. It's probably reversed. I'll fix that for the replay. But this is actually just a circle of friends, and I'm actually going to show it on the other stream here. Sisters of the Sun Rising. So what this is, it's a depiction of, we have like the Sisters of Kuan Yin. It's a community gathering. And so when it goes back to like Libra season and community, especially, the next coming weeks, like maybe friends, maybe new friends, settings, circles, support system. You want to think about what is it that you have that is it conducive to your growth and support? Because this time, at least with the ebbs and cycles of the new moon and the full moon, what you tend to have is, um, either like I'm feeling, at least as I'm studying and like spending time with like the signs and astrology and just learning, right? And the energies that we go through each cycle, is that there's like that cycle of like, okay, what is the work needed from me and my relationship with my external world? And what is the relationship during like the full moons towards for me and my internal realm, right? My internal world. And it's so important because you need both, right? The outside is a reflection of your internal. And so going back to this, it's like your circle support, who you surround yourself is so important because, not only do they help lift you up, especially in those moments when you need a different perspective and you're probably seeing yourself from a smaller lens. And likewise, the same magic that you bring and the medicine that you hold also will help support somebody else, right? And then that's also like, you can kind of say good karma, because you're energetically in these harmonious relationships that become amplified. Not only are you guys, speaking from a different angle and perspective when it comes to um, the same mission, or like similar, you can kind of say in a business setting, like, oh, we're in the same field, right? But we all hold a different type of energy and space. And that not only holds, like when you think about like a small group setting, whenever you think about social gatherings, whether that's like a yoga class, whether that's a mastermind, right, business mastermind, whether that's some sort of community setting, whatever it is that you guys are sharing, and that's bringing you guys together, it's kind of the essence of like Libra. Like, you're looking to find the form of connection between you and these, your external world, right? And even noticing if you need to have certain things like fall off, hey, perfect timing, because new settings, new intentions, new wishes and desires is a perfect time for you to begin to implement for the new moon coming forward. And another powerful thing that I just, like came across is like, wherever it is your social circle is, like the people you surround yourself with, the also people you serve, what it is that you're giving them in terms of exchange of like your medicine and stuff, that is actually going to help you to refine your vision and also maybe redirect you a little bit further with clarity. You're going to get some clarity in terms of what it is that you're here to kind of like share, right? Sometimes you have an idea that it's going to look one way, but it's not until you fully put that into action and you see, like, my one of my mentors, she says, it's not until you really get to test your theory in the lab, right, and with and your methodology, until you kind of see the, like, what's really playing forward, right? um and that kind of really sticks out, like, okay, like, let me learn, let me be a little bit flexible when it comes to the social settings, like, let me see how are things like really working, be curious, right? um and so air is like a lot of space in terms of like allowing for movement and creative freedom, um allowing yourself during the next coming weeks, especially with this new moon going in, like, how can you decorate your space, how can you show up also in a way that's like beautiful, right? Lively, that like gets you like excited to show up, or what we say, like, put forth your 100% energy behind this thing, these things. Mm. Yes. And that's just like something, a tidbit to maybe, when it comes to working with the energies, because everyone experiences it a different way. Like, how can you kind of sit with this Libra energy coming through this new moon in the next coming weeks, so that you're not resisting the changes, so you're not resisting your growth, so that you can continue to move in a more smoother trajectory. Not that's always going to be smooth, but it's just so that you engage more in a positive way, so to speak, right? So the experience is a lot more fun and enjoyable rather than you dreading the process and like dragging your feet. So that's definitely something to draw awareness to. And so that was one of the major key points is like groups, who you surround yourself with, allowing it to be okay if it needs to be changed. Um, because you know what, you're expanding and vibrationally, you always want to pray that, you know what, I do pray that I'm always in alignment into my next step, with less resistance, right timing. It's again, things are never removed from you, but, um, depending on what it is that you need to go through and clear, it allows you to kind of evolve to that next cycle of growth rather than repeating that hamster wheel. Um, Tonight, at least with the second reading, I wanted to, a little bit more detailed guidance. Play with another deck that I haven't done in a while, and I thought this would be befitting since it is like the new moon coming through, and this at least gives us a little bit perspective in terms of what message of guidance. And again, feel free to comment below, like where are you tuning in from, what time is it where you are. And, if anything resonates or comes up to your mind as you are, tuning in, welcome, welcome. All is energy. I'm actually just tuning in here and drawing out our second reading card just to have something to reflect on. We're talking about the energies for this week and how we can work along with the energy surrounding us. And that's a lot about like shamanic practices, is we see everything has, again, um, a spirit, right? Everything has an energy that responds back to you. And so rather than you resisting, what's coming through, um, how is it that you can work with the energy surrounding you, especially in this Libra season with this fall equinox? So many things this week alone, the new moon in Libra. So that, again, as we near the end of the year 2022, wrapping up things, so to speak, metaphorically, what is it that you kind of need to tidy up, right? And also, I feel like it's a time of also like enjoyment and play with all the things and growth that we've been going through individually and collectively. And so, our second card and just message right now is it's time to take action. This is just showing the new moon in Aries, which is ironic, um, considering that, and as I showed over here on the restream, it's time to take action. It's the new moon in Aries. Considering that we just did a full moon in Pisces, like last week, right? 2 weeks ago. And now we're going to have the full moon in Aries coming in the next coming weeks. But so new moon is always that time to plant seeds. Aries is that fiery energy of taking action. As I said, what seeds will be coming through in the next coming weeks, especially with the Libra season. And when it comes to this fiery energy, also, for a moment, I was feeling like, getting these like messages and guidance that I feel like there's going to be a lot of things coming through in the next coming months, at least from like October as we approach that season towards the end of the year. That's going to feel like, oh, it's like I have a lot to do to list, right? To do. And one of the major things is like with the support of you anchoring your energy, you taking care of yourself physically, spiritually, doing your spiritual practices, you're gonna have that gung ho energy to continue forth, right? Not feel like, you know what, is it too much for me to take? And no, that's not true. Nothing's too much, especially when it's in divine timing and the universe presents to you um, exactly what is needed, right? So at this point, you've done all the work, you planted the seeds, and what's going to come through for you is meant to be. You just have to be in the state of like receptivity, gratitude, and then owning your space so that you can go through that, powerfully with that fiery take charge stance, like in the new moon that shows here. And so, because I wanted to bring up this card here, I wanted to at least, I always like to like hit a couple notes, at least from what comes through, just to elaborate a little bit more. And so, this moon, just with the new moon card here, being the second support, don't even think about giving up. Do your best and be happy with that. Even if you feel like, you know what, all these things are coming through and I might not know with clarity what it's all about, um, know that you'll be able to take that next action step when you feel that like fire and oomph, like in your like solar plexus, in your womb space, to take that step, right? With confidence, with trust in yourself. And as you do so, just wanting to make space for that voice of the intuition so you can follow that direction. Um, if anything, there's a difference between being too rash and then, you know, taking the action when it is inspired, when it is in alignment with, like, cosmically, things are presented, like things are set up. I've been praying, and so maybe this might help to elaborate. I've been praying recently, like May, because I've been feeling it. Like if I were to do one step, if I were to pull the thread on one thing in my life that would open up the rest of the doors, what would it be, right? Let me see it when it comes through so that I don't miss it. Um, and so that's kind of like the guidance there, like in the next coming weeks, especially as you are maybe setting your new moon intentions this weekend, like kind of like, may I take that aligned step in action when it does come through. So with this new moon, as we know that this is the first sign in astrology, and just taking a moment. Now, if you're committed to working with all, the lumination cycles or whatever like practices you follow in your own spiritual journey and path, because we all have our own things that resonate with us, then just realize that that commitment, like I mentioned, you've been building up, coming through. And then also, word of guidance from here is that the new moon in Aries is the right time to start. So no matter when you do it during this time, it signifies it's also the ideal time to start again. New intentions, new moon work. Another thing here, it says here that this just beckons and kind of just shows us that you're on track, even if you can't see the full picture, which is totally fine. And with the air sign in Libra, like, drawing awareness to that wind, the gust that speaks to you. And now, this is a positive sign. If there's something that you want to happen in your life, take this card as a big yes for you. Um, from the universe, this is time to really tune into your dreams. You may still have a long way to go in some points. However, you're on the right way, you're on the right track. Determination, self assertion, and bravery are called for. And then it's the fiery energy of support of this Aries that's just helping you to move forward, right? And I kind of feel like it's an energy of like excitement, to be honest. Um, since I feel, at least with Libra, that tends to be very like Venus vibes for me. Um, and just pausing there for a moment, before we kind of pull this in and seeing what wants to come through. And again, I know that hmm, take what it is that resonates with you, right? Let it sink in, and even comment and share, right? The last deck that I kind of wanted to bring forth, it's still in the theme of like the feminine energy. Um, as always, with action, that's masculine sense of energy, right? However, now when you want to take aligned action, that's just aligned action, taking the steps in what you would say in the feeling of, in the sense of your intuition. So that's very feminine, right? Feeling sensations. Allowing yourself to, during this time again, draw into your senses, just like we do whenever we come into a circle here. Like, how can you tune into your senses, see, sight, smell, touch, so that you can feel the guidance, feel it in your heart, feel it in your womb, like when this is a yes movement that I should be taking, that I feel excited for. And also something else that I've been, praying is, okay, in my body and my heart, knowing that I am the full, again, because it comes back to these pillars of like embodiment and expression of your highest truth. I know the wisdom within my own self. How can I truly like embody that truth by like, how's that really going to be tangibly expressed, right? From wisdom, knowledge, from the head, from the air, space, etheric realm, out to the physical. And I guess that's going to be it. We have siege, just so that everybody else can see it from here. And this just shows, and I'll show it here, that card says quiet time. And she's literally like putting her hand, finger, right in front of her lips. Take some quiet time to alone, to rest, to meditate, and to contemplate. Might be a little bit harder to read here, but so this is the third just messaging and kind of putting it together, like the siege and quiet time. And so, especially after like a season of like kind of planning and like taking steady action, which is the earth energy in Virgo, and approaching this Libra season, approaching the Libra new moon, balancing again, that steady action, continuing it forward while learning to again cultivate that relationship of your own inner oracle, your own higher, your higher source, your higher self, so that you can take that action forward at the right timing. Notice also quiet time also helps you to reassess, going back to the first card that we have, like the group and collective and like your community, right? Like, what is it that I need for me to feel like in harmony? Because, when you're in harmony within yourself and you're not taking out too much and you set healthy boundaries, that's when growth is able to come through, because you're saying no to the things you don't have time for, no to the things that really, aren't necessarily in the highest and going to be like the most vibrationally like mm, space for you to move towards, right? Like where the reaping back of that energy is going to be like at the highest like momentum and vibration. Like, you want to make your investments in time and relationships with, what you do with your time, well. And so that requires that quiet space for you to go inward. Something that I'm tuning into, like the aura space, like surrounding her. And so like when you go into your quiet spaces, when you go inward from the physical body, I always like to express it like the more you sit still with yourself, the more you kind of allow your gravity to go inward to your inner self. And what happens in that sense you begin to sense the feeling of what we like to say, like the cosmicness, the vastness, the etheric body that kind of feels like you're floating when you're hitting the deep meditative states, right? So that you can align yourself, your energy, your frequency every moment of every day, and even multiple days, times a day once if needed, right? Of course. So that you are in the right alignment, so you are in right stepping, so that you are, again, even with the new moon, intentions that you'll be setting and whatever it is that you do for these practices, for these cycles, so that you move and receive the highest vibrational reality for you. Thank you. Hope to see you again. All is energy. And that's a cosmicness of you. And like, again, going back to what the work that I do, it's like, anchoring your cosmic source, your cosmic self in this realm, in this reality, because we work from the spiritual, we work from the etheric outward. Um, where, again, you're not doing it from like this potential or this energy that's like drained or empty cup, right? Setting it's a full cup, where I always like to say your angels are going ahead, where again the universe is, I always pray that Jesus is opening the steps forward, right? That my feet and my hands are highly favored, my mouth, the words that I speak, my vision, my ears are highly favored, so that that's how we really begin to like embody those spiritual teachings, right? The cosmic teachings. And so with Siege, taking, some time to alone, quiet time to rest and meditate and contemplate, she's literally saying like, shh, quiet your mind, breathe and let go of words, let go of worry, let go in your plans, and go into those spaces of silence deep within you, that vortex of peace where the world doesn't matter, right? So if you can cultivate a couple of moments throughout your day, throughout the week, especially, and the more you cultivate that space and allowance, the more embodied truth and like that spark of that inner fire, like that sign that we had with Aries, that you'll be able to go in through encouragement and empowerment. And what she does is, well, I'm probably not pronouncing her name, but like Siege, lovingly helps you rejuvenate and recenter yourself. Don't try to, again, if it feels like you're in a space where you're not sure if this is absolutely like something that you should be doing, take that time again to contemplate, because the answers will come to you. You'll begin to see the fuller picture. And just know that it's not like the FOMO thing, right? You'll know soon enough when it's time to take action. But for now, quiet your mind and you'll know when it's time to come through. A couple of meanings, if you want to have alternative meanings, it's time to go in a retreat. Um, and say if it's not financially sound there for you, something that you could do is I like to cultivate space like throughout the day, especially in the morning hours. Like this is my hour or two, or even on the weekend, like break away from technology or like do something that'll help you connect to yourself, the breakout of your routine cycles. Avoid loud noise and sounds. Surrender your mind chatter to heaven, and know that maybe you're a little bit more sensitive right now. And anything about the Gnostic goddess is considered to be the great silence or void from which all creation sprang. And so she reminds us that words create duality, and that in silence we find our true origin and our true self. Quiet is omnipresent power that gives birth to wisdom, just as the Gnostics hold that Siege is the Mother Sophia, the goddess of wisdom, and teaches us that our roots are in the silent void of the universe. And that's important for us to reconnect with ourselves regularly. And so if we had to like kind of sum it up and like put it all together in a beautiful bow, um, even for those of us like who kind of feel like, you know what, maybe I'm an introvert, you know, if like this is the kind of this time and season to work in the areas of my life that, you know, what are needed to kind of bring into harmony and balance, especially as you connect with others, right? um and you can use like the whole like mainstream like holidays coming up, like you're kind of preparing before like the holiday seasons when people typically feel like the energy is moving up really quickly and there's a lot of social gatherings, right? So you're kind of in prep mode for that. and and then realizing, you know, like what relationships can I really cultivate right now? What part of me can I bring a little bit more 100% forward? So that, you know, maybe if I've been holding back a little bit in my sense of community and forming relationships, you know, how can I be open a little bit more in terms of what I want to feel is necessary to express? And also, when it comes through with like taking action and moving forward, you don't want to say yes to everything. Allow yourself to kind of pause and hear the voice of your inner wisdom, taking more moments for that space to be heard, um, so that you can take the right timing and right alignment for your growth. And before we go, hmm, I do definitely want to say thank you so much for being here with me, whether you were on the restream or over in IG Live. Um, and if there's something you want to ask, like a question or comment, or even before I leave here, if you're in the chat, you can definitely drop, you know, an emoji. So that way, if you would like a card pull, we definitely hold space for you before I go. And giving you some time, at least announcements, energetically wise, right? Spiritual and energetic works, shamanic priestess work. We have the new moon this Sunday. So we have a new moon um, shamanic sound journey happening Sunday, the 25th, I believe. It's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And we do these live. We hold sacred ceremonial space where we enter into a private container where, again, we allow ourselves to work with the cosmic energies and what's coming through for our own initiations and walk in life a little bit more smoother. And on the other note, too, we're actually going to have like a special announcement doing a live with embodied um, priestess Chrissy this Saturday, my time Eastern in the evening. The time is still to be determined. And then she's over in Japan, so she's going to be at her Sunday morning. So we have a couple of things coming through. We're going to do more of an Urkel dual setting. So you guys are welcome to join in and ask questions to into what comes through. And if you are wanting like private energy work, shamanic healing work, feel free to DM me, divine.cosmic.empress, or just email me at divinecosmicjourney@gmail.com. And if anything, we'll catch each other live next Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. And thank you so much for joining me. Definitely appreciate it. And I hope you have a beautiful, blessed week. And happy fall equinox. Satnam.